Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Yasodanandana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Yasodanandana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Brajajana Ranjana Jaya Javana Vanachari Kunja Vihari Jaya Javana Vanachari Kunja Vihari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Jai Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Paripajapacharya Ashtata Saraswati A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Shri Shri Panchatattva Ki Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki Agoura Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Pastachari Shatarine. Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Take the stand away. It's not possible to read now. I gave my keys to, I think I did, I gave them to Ekanath. Yeah. Or did he give them back? No, he must still have them, I think. Maybe not. No, maybe he gave them back. Just hold on. I think they're here. We are reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, text number 12, Canto 10, chapter 21. Is that correct? 10, 12, 10, 21, 12. Please repeat. Krishnam Niriksha Vanitotsava Rupashilang Shutva Cha Tatvanita Venu Vivikta Gitam Devyo Vimana Gatayaha Smara Nuna Sara Brasyat Prasuna Kabara Mumuhar Vinivyaha Krishnam Niriksha Vanitotsava Rupashilam Krishna Niriksha Vanitotsava Rupashilam Krishna Niriksha Vanitotsava Rupashilam Shutva Chatat Vanita Venu Vivikta Gitam Devyo Vimana Gatayat Smaranuna Sara Rashyat Prasuna Kabara Mumuhu Vinivyaha Krishnam Niriksha Vanitotsava Rupashilam Krishna Niriksha Vanitotsava Rupashilam Shutva Chatat Vanita Venu Vivikta Gitam Devyo Vimana Gatayak Smaranuna Sara Rashyat Prasuna Kabara Mumuhu Vinivyaha Krishnam niriksha vinitotsava rupa shilam. Shudva chatat panita venu vivikta gitam. Devyo vimana gatayak smaranuna sara. Brashat pasuna kabara mumoho vinivyaha. Venu vivikta gitam. Devya vimana gatayak smaranuna sara. Prashyat prasuna kabara momoho vivinya. Devyo vimana gatayak smaranuna sara. Pashat pasuna kabara momoho vivinya.
Krishna niriksha vanito savarupa shilam.
Krishna niriksha vanito savarupa shilam.
Shruva chatat vanita venu vivikta gitam.
Shudva chatat panita venu vivikta gitam.
Devyo vimana gataya smaranuna sara.
Devyo vimana gatayak smaranuna sara.
Prashyat prasuna kabara mumoho vinivyaha.
Prashyat prasuna kabara momoho vinivyaha. Krishnam niriksha vanitotsava rupa shilam. Shruva chatat vanita venu vivikta gitam. Devyo vimana gataya smaranuna sara. Pashat pasuna kabara momoho vinivyaha. Ladies. Krishnam niriksha vanitotsava rupa shilam. Shutva chatat panita venu vivikta gitam. Devyo vimana gatayak smaranuna sara. Pratyat prasuna kabara momoho vinivya. Krishnam, Lord Krishna. Niriksha, observing. Vanita, for all women. Utsaha, a festival. Rupa, whose beauty. Shilam, and character. Shutva, hearing. Cha, and tat, by him. Vanita, vibrated. Venu, of the flute. Vivikta, clear. Gitam, song. Devyaha, the wives of the demigods. Vimana gatayaha, traveling in their airplanes. Smara, by Cupid. Nuna, agitated. Saraha, their hearts. Prashyat, slipping. Prasuna Kabaraha, the flowers tied in their hair. Mumuhuhu, they became bewildered. Vinivyaha, their belts loosening. Translation and purport. Krishna's beauty and character create a festival for all women. Indeed, when the demigods' wives flying in airplanes with their husbands catch sight of him and hear his resonant flute song, their hearts are shaken by Cupid, and they become so bewildered that the flowers fall out of their hair and their belts loosen. Purport. In Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Srila Prabhupada comments, this verse indicates that the transcendental sound of the flute of Krishna extended to all corners of the universe. Also, it is significant that the gopis knew about the different kinds of airplanes flying in the sky. In fact, even while sitting on the laps of their demigod husbands, the demigoddesses became agitated by hearing the sounds of Krishna's flute. Thus the gopis thought that they themselves should not be blamed for their ecstatic conjugal attraction for Krishna, who after all was a cowherd boy from their own village and thus a natural object of their love. If even demigoddesses became mad after Krishna, how could poor earthly cowherd girls from Krishna's own village avoid having their hearts completely conquered by his loving glances and the sound of his flute? The gopis also considered that the demigods, although noting their wives' attraction to Krishna, did not become envious. The demigods are actually very refined in culture and intelligence, and therefore when flying in their airplanes, they regularly take their wives along to see Krishna. The gopis thought our husbands, on the other hand, are envious. Therefore even the inferior deer are better off than we, and the demigods are also very fortunate, whereas we poor human beings in an intermediate position are most unfortunate. Om Jnanatimandasya Jnanjana Shlakaya Chakshurmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupagadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam. So many points are mentioned here in the verse and purport of this today's verse. A festival, Krishna's beauty and character, a festival. In every respect, a festival for the eyes. When we behold something very beautiful, at least from our perspective, we like to hold it. We like to, variety may be the spice of life, but we like to see something beautiful. And sometimes it's hard to take the vision, and of course the mind becomes captivated by that beauty. It might be extreme beauty of a woman or nature, something which is attractive to our senses. It's a kind of a festival. Festival is let's say, a joyous occasion. And upon beholding Krishna's beautiful form, his character, all attractive form. Not just one, but all the gopis observe this beautiful festival, feasting. Festival means feasting, huh? Generally speaking, I mean, there may be some exceptions, but generally, of course there are in the material world, but generally a festival means feasting as well as other things, parades, various cultural activities, dances and what have you, colourful displays, music playing, a joyous occasion meant to bring pleasure to all those participating or witnessing. And there's meant to be feasting at least. This is a feast, even devotees or anybody come to that. When they see the deities, sometimes you feel like it's a feast for the eyes. You're relishing. One is relishing the beauty of the deity. So a festival for all women particularly, because naturally women are attracted to beautiful men, and men are attracted to beautiful women. It's just the nature of the world. It's there in the spiritual world, but in the spiritual world everyone is Prakriti. This is the problem which we face in this world. We think we're Purush. Both men and women think they're Purush. It's not just people, souls in men's body. The souls in women's body also think they're male, in the sense that they think they're the enjoyer. Maybe not physically, but in character or mentality they behave like Purush. They want to enjoy. They see themselves in the center. This is Purush. Whereas Prakriti is energy meant to serve the Purush. In the spiritual or the liberated state, every living entity is Prakriti. The Mayavadis, of course, are a little different, but we're talking in terms of the liberation of a devotee of the Lord. They're in their proper situation as Prakriti, which means the energy controlled by the Lord, his own personal energy. So the living entities, every one of them is Prakriti. So every one of them is attracted by nature to Krishna, whatever form it may be, but attracted to the Supreme Lord. And in that condition, just to see everything about the Lord is all attractive. Everything. It's their origin, it's their life and soul. So they see everything about Krishna as beautiful, attractive in every way. There's a festival, something which is very attractive. In the Krishna book, another interesting point, which mentioned in the purport also, that how the demigods' wives were flying in airplanes with their husbands. They caught sight of Krishna. Krishna allowed them. Not everyone could see, of course not. But the demigods, they were allowed to see, at least to some extent, Krishna's pastimes. They may not have been enter into the mood exactly, but they were able to witness. It's just like we are, by the grace of the Lord, by the grace of the pure devotees, we are able to, we could say, not exactly enter into Vrindavan, we're able to go to the Dham, to that place, and become attracted. We may not have the right mood of Vrindavan, but nonetheless, we're able to go there by the grace of the Lord. Of course, the demons, they're not attracted by Krishna's form, not positively anyway. But the demigods are, their wives particularly, because Krishna's form is the most beautiful male form that exists. So when we go to the holy Dham, we also have this opportunity to become attracted to Krishna, or anywhere, but especially there. Although we may not be fully able to enter in. So the demigods may not be able to enter into the mood of pure bhakti. They're generally in the mixed modes, or mixed devotion. But Krishna is giving them this opportunity. That's why he comes into the universe. He doesn't need to come into the universe per se, although he performs pastimes with his intimate devotees, which are specially let's say, embellished with the various moods of, as the gopis here are experiencing, of feeling of separation, a feeling of, whatever, of misfortune, that we're not able to get that direct association of the Lord, a very intense feeling of attraction. And we see in the material where they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Sometimes when you're absent from someone, the attraction to them is more intense. We often take it for granted. Like in the rasa dance, to a certain extent, the gopis appear to take it for granted. Krishna's with them. Yes, they appreciated their good fortune, but at the same time there was an element, a slight element there of, a little self-centeredness. At least that's how it appears. And then Krishna disappeared from their sight. So, he's totally disappeared from our sight in the material world. But for those who are, like the, the demigods themselves, in one sense, they are not really able to experience that mood of the gopis, which we're hearing about today, but they're able to experience the manifest attraction of the Lord. They cannot experience the unmanifested factor of Vipalamba, but they can experience some degree of the natural attraction of the Lord. He reveals, as they surrender to me, I reveal myself accordingly. So he reveals his beauty according to their devotion. He reciprocates with everyone. We can hear in the pastime of Krishna when he entered into the Dhanayagya of Kamsa in the wrestling arena. Everyone, in one sense, saw him, but at the same time, they didn't really see him certainly not in the same way. Everybody saw him differently, depending on their relationship. Some saw him as an ordinary person. Some saw him as a proud, coward boy. Some saw him as the cynosure of their eyes. That means the most attractive person. Some saw him as a super soul. Some as death personified. Different ways. People saw him according to their relationship. Hare Krishna, welcome. Welcome to the temple. Come. Your beautiful family. What a wonderful family you have. Look at these wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. Your daughter? How many daughters? 3 daughters. One? Who's number 1? Number 1 daughter? Your grandchildren, they are indeed very grand. You're wonderful. Well, congratulations to you all. And it's very nice to see you here. And your grandchildren also part of the family too?
Yes, they are.
Pardon? Daughters I can see, and then your grandchildren also on the end. There are 2 young lady and gentlemen. Are they also grandchildren or what?
Yeah.
You 2 are also grandchildren. Wonderful. Well, welcome to the temple. Maybe your first time. Is it first time for them? Well, for a few minutes longer, we're having a little conversation. It might be a little difficult for you to pick up on because it's quite a deep subject matter of spiritual relationship with God. It's not just the normal relationship we hear with God, is that He is great, He's almighty. We have to bow down before Him and serve Him somehow or another. We're His servants. Oh, that's very true. And there's a lot more to that relationship. Just like you have relationships with your family, your friends, brothers and sisters, which are more intimate than the relationship of others, because you're very close with each other. You have a very familiar relationship. You can treat each other like you don't treat others. So we're hearing about, you could say, several different relationships here. The relationship of the gopis, Krishna's most intimate associates, God's very intimate, loving associates, and the demigods who serve God in this universe, known as Krishna, whose relationship with Krishna is one of devotion, but is not so intimate. It's more formal. Just like in a country, you may see a king. In this country, you have president of Philippines. Maybe he's married. I guess he's married, and he has a family. And his relationship with them is very familiar. They don't treat him like the president. They treat him like their own member of the family. They may even chastise him. They may, criticize him even. And then maybe they quarrel sometimes. But when he's in the role of president, then everybody has to, not bow down exactly, but everyone has to cooperate. Everyone has to respect him in a different way, with reverence. So the demigods, they generally have a reverential relationship with the Lord. They're the Lord's representatives in this universe to help maintain the universe. Just like a president has ministers for health, ministers for education, ministers for whatever. So many things. Law and order and so on. In the universe, the Lord appoints various certain entities who are very qualified to manage certain aspects of the material energy. They're not God, they're acting on His behalf. They're very powerful, very great personalities. And here we see that the Lord, as we said before, He comes, sometimes He reveals Himself in this world in various ways, so that others can get His association. Very special, sometimes the president enters into, let's say, the prison. You have prisons, we've been to several here to visit the prisons here in Manila and in other parts of the Philippines. Sometimes the president may go there to either look what's going on or, I don't know, give some kind of encouragement to the prisoners or something. So Krishna comes into this universe from time to time, not just to give his association, but to give teachings also, to establish the path of liberation, the path of emancipation from this world. Either directly or through his representatives he comes to guide people. Just like in your Christianity, he came in empowered form of Jesus Christ. He was empowered to do the work of God, his Father, to bring people closer to him, to the Lord, to God. He comes in different ways like this. So sometimes he comes in his full form. Krishna is a full form of God. And he displays wonderful pastimes which are very attractive. We see from the pastimes of Krishna when he comes that the pastimes are people like to hear them. Even non-devotees sometimes, especially because those who are a little bit pious, love to hear them. In India, everyone, even if they don't believe in God, they like to hear his pastimes. They like to hear about his childhood pastimes. They're very sweet and relishable. They bring joy to the heart. And it's not just that, but they actually purify our consciousness. When we associate, according to how we associate in this world, it affects our consciousness. If we associate, consciousness is compared in the Bhagavad Gita to the air. And when the air passes over, you don't have so many roses in this country. You have other fragrant flowers. Maybe you have gardenia. I haven't seen many gardenia. Do you have gardenia in this country? Don't see them much. It should grow nicely here. But gardenia is one of the most fragrant flowers. So when the air passes over a garden of gardenias, actually the word garden is in gardenia, isn't it? Interesting. A garden of gardenias, it will pick up a beautiful fragrance which it will carry beyond the garden. I remember when we were kids, we had a garden, it was called the Town Gardens, and it had this gorgeous rose garden in there. And we could smell it from 200-300 meters away if the wind was blowing in our direction, or more even. It was so fragrant. Nowadays they don't smell so nice. There's hardly any smell now. Sometimes, but not much. But then they used to smell really sweet. We used to love to just go there every Sunday evening just to smell the roses. It was like a festival to the senses, to the nose. Very joyful. So when the air like consciousness passes over that, it takes on the fragrance of the flower. And when the air passes over a sewer, a nasty smelling sewer, it takes on the smell of the sewer. And usually we plug our nose like this. Or if you're driving along the road, I don't know in this country, but in Europe they use a lot of chicken manure on the fields at a certain time of the year. And it has a very abominable smell, a horrible smell. And if you plug your nose like this as you go by, it's nasty. It's the air picks it up. It's not the air that actually it smells bad. It's picked up the fragrance. So the living entity also is not bad. Every living entity is good. But because our consciousness is associated with the modes of nature in its various forms, in the sense of goodness, passion and ignorance, and consequently lust, anger, greed, envy, and so on and so forth, we appear to develop certain qualities which will only be attractive to people in certain modes of nature, and they would be very unattractive to people in other modes. Everyone's attracted to someone and attracted to somebody, but not everyone's attracted to everyone. Whereas Krishna, he's attractive to everyone. He's beyond the modes of nature. He's all attractive. He's not just relatively attractive, like we may be. He's all attractive. So it may be indirectly, because people are attracted to his material energy. They want to enjoy the reflective form of this universe. We're very attracted to that. The demigods are much higher. They're in the mode of goodness, more or less. And they are servants, so they're attracted to Krishna. He reveals his beautiful form to some extent to them, although they can't enter into the actual mood of pure devotion. Their mood is mixed. But they still have this opportunity to become attracted. And that opportunity to get that darshan of the Lord helps to purify them of whatever mixed attractions they may have. When we get the opportunity to associate with purity, it helps to remove the impurities from our hearts. That's why we wash our bodies. You wash your body in generally clean water. You don't wash the body in sewer water. That will not clean the body. The water has to be pure. So when we bathe ourselves in the pure vision or the pure subject of Krishna, of the Supreme Lord, it purifies our consciousness. The effects of the modes of nature are diminished, and our vision becomes purified. As long as we're covered by impurity, material desires, identity with this body, misconceptions, doubts, and all the consequent characteristics that go along with it, our greed and envy and lust and so on. As long as we're covered in this way, we cannot really see Krishna, neither can we enter into the spiritual kingdom. Even if we do go to a holy place like Vrindavan Dham, we can't really enter in. But, depending on the degree of our submission, surrender, there will be some purification there. And gradually our consciousness will become clear, cleansed. But the quickest way to cleanse our hearts is to hear about Krishna. We may not be able to see him with our blunt senses for sure, but we can hear about him, to some extent at least. And the Lord has come in a merciful form, chanting the holy name of his own person, actually, of Krishna, the holy name of the Maha Mantra. And by chanting and hearing this mantra, this prayer, this sound vibration, our consciousness, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, becomes purified, so that gradually, as we become purified in consciousness, which means freed from all these material objects of our of attraction. We're no longer attracted to them. Our attraction for Krishna will gradually grow and grow and grow. So I'll just mention a few more points from this sound here, of this purport rather. As the demigoddesses were becoming agitated on hearing the sound of the flute, a aspiring devotee may become agitated. I don't know how you feel. Maybe age, maybe whatever reason. There was much of my life, whenever I hear the sound of the kirtan, we would immediately want to run to the kirtan. Or maybe you had that experience. You feel kind of separation from the kirtan. I think some of you feel that. It is a form of, it may not be mature, but it is the beginning of this mood of feeling separation from Krishna. Why Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to introduce the Sankirtan movement, to give everyone a chance to taste the highest nectar of love of God. So devotees, when you hear the kirtan, they want to run out and take part in the kirtan. But maybe you can't do it. Well, maybe you're sick, or maybe you can't open the door to get out, or maybe you have another service and you can't stop it. This is if you have an attraction. And that increases one's desire or appreciation for the kirtan. You don't become angry or jealous or anything. You just increase one's desire, which is the whole intention of the Lord's appearance, to increase our desire to surrender to Him, to be with Him. Similarly with Sankirtan, it could be any service, but especially the kirtan, because this is the form of the Lord in this age, Kali Kaler Namarupa Krishna Avatar, which is accessible to all. He's making Himself accessible to everyone. And even those who have no attraction are attracted, negatively maybe, but they get out of here, they may say, shut up, go away, we're going to call the police. It's a negative attraction, but it's some other capturing their consciousness, and it will gradually purify. So the performance of Nama Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy name, is the most auspicious manifestation of the Lord in the universe to attract everyone, no matter who they are. It attracts the attention of others. So this principle is here. They're hearing the sound of Krishna's flute. From that flute, the sound vibration Om is emanating. And especially it's said, in this age, any age, but particularly in this age, that sound vibration is represented or manifested in the form of the Maha Mantra, to capture the attention or the hearts of all living entities. We see in this world that the sound of the flute is materially very captivating. We cannot imagine the sound of Krishna's flute. But we can experience that attraction by absorbing ourselves in kirtan. And the more we're, say, in understanding, the more we're trying to approach the chanting with a favorable attitude, the more purification will be there, the more attraction will be there. But one wants, ultimately, Kirtaniya Sadhari, there's a quality of chanting is essential also. And that quality is not mechanical, that quality is internal. It's a quality of our attitude, of our consciousness. The demigods and the demigoddesses may have had somewhat a mixed, but they're still attracted. Even in the mixed stage we may become attracted. It's not totally pure. Pure stage is nothing but attraction to Krishna. Their attraction, we see this coming up quite often, that in the presence of Krishna they're attracted. They feel attracted. But when Krishna is not manifest before their eyes, their attraction goes elsewhere. Same with us. We're on that mixed platform. But for the pure devotee, they have no other object of attraction other than the beauty of God, the beauty of His character, etc., etc. Nothing else attracts their mind. Nothing. It's not that the gopis are, Krishna's gone away, now I have to go somewhere else. Let me go somewhere else to get my fun. No. Whether he's present or not present, their attraction for him is unflinching, unwavering. What is that prayer in Sikshastakam prayers Lord Chaitanya says? What does he say? You may crush me by your embrace or make me broken-hearted by not being present before me. You are always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Does it go? Yugaitam nimeshena? Yeah. Whatever you do, my dear Lord, you're always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. No one else. There's no other, is not distracted by anything, no matter what it is. The distraction is absolute. Whereas our attraction in this world is relative, isn't it? It's relative. Time, place and circumstance. It's often relative to the external view, just like kirtan. If someone comes in the temple room and chanting, you might have a laugh for a few minutes, but it's not very attractive. But if Madhava's here or something, everybody comes and there's an attraction. Now, it may be an attraction to the purity also, but it may be an attraction to the beautiful vibration from our perception. It's a materially beautiful sound. It purifies us, but we're not really attracted to Krishna, we're attracted to the sound. We're attracted to the musical instruments, we're attracted to the person who's singing, or the scene. It's an external attraction, but still, it brings us slowly, at least, to the internal attraction, the absolute attraction. The gopis have an absolute attraction for Krishna, although they're condemning themselves is another symptom of this absolute attraction, is you feel you have no attraction. Even Lord Chaitanya made that, didn't he say, I have no attraction. I have no attraction for the holy name. What to speak of Krishna? I'm so unfortunate, I have no attraction. Of course, it's not that he doesn't, but the pure devotee experiences. They feel they have no love. They have no attraction. They have no taste. We don't have any taste, or very little, and we have very little attraction also. We're very attracted to, what satisfies my mundane senses, my mundane mind. That's our object. Even in the Krishna conscious movement, we spend a lot of our time trying to satisfy our mundane concepts. Being comfort. We want a comfort zone. We're always working hard to get a comfort zone, something like that. Or that comfort zone may not be one of material opulence or material comfort in one sense, but we're thinking ourselves good, we're renounced, and we're thinking that now, I can impress people, or maybe I'll get some mystic powers, or something or another. It may not be pure devotion. We choose our own, let's say, version of devotional service. It's not completely surrendered. It's not constitutional. It's not absolutely for the pleasure of the Lord. It's very mixed with our own pleasure. But something is there. And when we get the association of pure devotees, then that can slowly change. It can immediately change if we surrender. But generally it takes a little time. So it's another point. The gopis thought that they themselves should not be blamed. So there's another interesting, well, of course this doesn't, maybe it applies to us, but let's see. But they were absolutely attracted to Krishna. Now they're married apparently to others, it appears, to others, but their attraction is for Krishna. They're not attracted to their family and their husbands. They're just attracted to God. So this may be seen as being, at least in the material world, this is, a very abominable thought. A woman attracted to a man other than her husband is not considered to be good. Whereas in this case it's different. But they give the example here, even the demigods' wives are attracted to Krishna. But again, they're condemning themselves because the demigods' husbands are also attracted to Krishna, and they're happily, associating in that way. They're not trying to prevent their wives from their attraction. Whereas the gopis here are condemning themselves. They're most unfortunate because their husbands are not attracted to Krishna in the same way. They don't see him as the object of their lives. So they feel most unfortunate. Maybe they're being prevented to go to him. So it's just another example of this. But what that does, as we mentioned yesterday, is it increases their intensity of attraction. So much so that they lose their lives. They can't maintain their lives any longer. At least, that's how it seems. Their material life, they lose their material life altogether. They come to the point of absolute attachment. This is Krishna's special mercy, that by coming into his association, that we will lose our attraction for the material world. By associating with the pure devotees of the Lord, we lose our attraction for material sense and enjoyment. By associating with the holy name, we become attracted in the same thing, being non-different than the Supreme Lord. We also lose our attraction for the material world. That sounds horrible from a materialist point of view, but this is the goal of life. To become free of our attachment to this material world and to become attracted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they consider themselves helpless in that sense. If even aristocratic ladies from the heavenly planets are attracted, what to speak of us poor, ignorant coward girls living in the village? What do you expect? Can't blame us, really. Another important point here is that the demigods were not envious of each other, what to speak of their wives. They weren't envious of each other. They were happy to see. Why? Because the Buddha is happy to see others becoming Krishna conscious. He's not attached. Whatever religion one follows or whatever path one follows, if one's actually becoming a lover of God, one is very happy. Because the whole point of spiritual life, even of religion, is to bring pleasure to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is not to bring pleasure to us. It's to bring pleasure to Him. We automatically feel pleasure when He's pleased. Automatically. You don't have to make a separate endeavor. So that's the point, that they're happy because they see that Krishna's pleasure is increasing. It's another subject. But they're not envious. If someone's got something I haven't got, they're happy to see. Now if something happens, say for instance, it so happens that one devotee appears to be becoming very, very attracted to Krishna, maybe it seems to be advancing nicely, you may feel envious, you may feel jealous, you may try to bring them down, find a fault, pull them down. Well, what good does that do us? Does no good at all. In fact, it's a detriment to our advancement. But we should think we're lucky. Now we can associate with a more advanced devotee. Because that's how we advance. Even the leaves don't fall from Vaikuntha, but I just saw one leaf fell from the roof there. So, yes, it's an opportunity to associate with an advanced devotee. So why should we be envious? What it means is we're actually envious of God. It's just because we don't know God, it's reflected in our envy of others. So that's overcome by, instead of being envious of others, being happy that they're advancing. As here we see that the gopis are saying that the demigods were not envious of each other at all. Although normally they would be in the material sense of the term, or they could be. But in the presence of Krishna, they were not envious. It means that they're devotees. The demigods are actually very refined. They're very cultured, very advanced. We think we're advanced, but we're not very advanced. And they had their airplanes too. We think in terms of an airplane. You've got Philippines Airlines, Cebu Pacific, or whatever other airlines you've got here, have some what is it? Boeing 737, yeah, or Airbus or something. We think that's an aeroplane, but that pretty gross, a big metal box with, giving off nasty fumes, burning up oil, flowing through the sky, isn't it? Kind of pretty horrible, really. And weird, you're sat in this metal box, Pretty weird, huh? You're trusting that it's going to fly. I mean, it's weird, and the whole thing is mystical, really. It's all Krishna's handwork there. It's totally mystical, how it thing flies in the sky. It's crazy. But it is. It doesn't flap. The wings aren't even flapping. Have you noticed that? They don't flap. The bird's wings flap. They don't, they're just straight as a die, Big metal box with 300, fat people sat on board or something. And it stays up there. All their luggage. It's really mystical. It really is. I actually know the aeronautical science behind it, but even that is really a bit far out. I think there's another energy working to keep them in the sky besides their scientific beliefs, discoveries or whatever. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes they fall out of the sky. Pretty scary, isn't it? The demigods, they've also got airplanes, but there's a different type of airplane called Bimana. They're made of flowers, Pushpa Biman. They're made of flowers. Can you imagine an airplane made of flowers? And you can go wherever you want. It's not like, you go like that, They don't crash either, by the way. They never crash. Unless, of course, everything's possible, but generally they don't crash. And they're beautiful. Imagine sitting in an airplane made of flowers, beautiful coloured, fragrant flowers, flying through the sky, looking down on all the things below. You're stuck in this cabin. You can't move. You've got just enough room to get your legs in there. You can't breathe properly. You're stuck. You can't sleep. It's like you're in prison for 1 to 16 hours, however long the journey is, right? It's like being in a prison cell or something. If you're lucky, you can go to the toilet. If you can wake the people up next to you to get out of your seat, without them, cursing you or whatever it may be. If you woke them up. And you have to queue up for this toilet, which is like a plastic box just big enough to get yourself in. Right? Sometimes you're vomiting on the airplane. It's like you're sick. And then and it starts bouncing up and down like hell. It's not exactly a heavenly aeroplane, I can tell you that. But that's their idea of an aeroplane. But in the heavenly planets, what to speak of the spiritual world, the airplanes are there, but they don't have the mechanical airplanes we do. They're mystical. They're mystical airplanes. It's also a little mystical, but not in the same way. So they have these airplanes. But the gopis were thinking their husbands are envious. Envious of Krishna. They didn't want their wives to go to him. You belong to us. This is the envious nature of the material world. We think that Krishna's energy belongs to us. This is envy of God. We think this is my home, my house, my this, my that. It means we're still not realizing that everything belongs to Krishna. For the sake of communication, we may say my, but a devotee realizes it is not really mine. Everything, including our family, belongs to Krishna. Everything. They're not envious. Whatever anyone's got, they realize it's by the will of God. Or let's say the mercy of God. That someone has got opulence and someone hasn't. And so was not envious of another, because ultimately it's the mercy of the Lord. That one person has got one thing and one's got another. And what we've got is exactly what we deserve and what we need also. So we don't become envious of others. We accept it like that. When Krishna went to the homes of Shrutadev and King Bahulashva, King Bahulashva was very, very opulent and king, big king, very pious king. Shrutadev was a poverty-stricken Brahmana. He had next to nothing to offer, just some water and maybe some rice and nothing much. The king had opulence beyond imagination. But Krishna went to both of their homes simultaneously, actually, as did all the sages and saints. It's a very interesting pastime. We won't get into it, but it's very, very much more to it than meets the eye. But it doesn't depend upon what one's got. It depends on how we see ourselves in relationship to the Lord. The Lord reciprocates. Shrutadev was just as happy as King Balalashra. Krishna was just as happy in the house of Shrutadev as he was in the house of the king, or the palace of the king. It's within the heart. Love is experienced in the heart. It's not an external thing. It may manifest in external behavior, but it's actually in the heart. So the whole point of our lives, the purpose of Krishna's coming, is to change our heart, a change of heart, a change of consciousness, so that we gradually develop the consciousness of pure, unalloyed, uninterrupted devotional service. So we'll finish there. Any comments or questions? You have a little wedding this morning, is that correct? You have a little ceremony here, is that correct?
Yes,
Who's performing the ceremony? Who's performing the ceremony? Pardon? Mahendra Prabhu, you're doing a yajna. Doing a yajna? You're doing a yajna? What are you doing? Pardon? What are you doing? Huh? Someone's doing a yajna? Jagananda, Yagya Ananda. Yagya, we name you Yagya Ananda. Janananda. Huh? Nice, very good. Well, we wish you all the best. We hope that this will help all of you and make you all very happy, both materially and spiritually. Yes?
I have a question. So you were explaining about the attraction to Krishna, and sometimes when we analyze our life, we can pinpoint some of those things that are holding us back from completely becoming attracted to Krishna.
Yeah, we have a darn sight more attraction for those than we do for Krishna if you let it go.
Why is it we are holding very tight to those things that are not making us to become fully attracted?
Why are you holding very tight? Why? What a question to ask, isn't it? Why? Are you blaming someone else or what? Oh, okay, then just let go. What can you say? That's the speciality of the soul. The soul's got free will. So why are you holding on? Well, soul, as we mentioned today, it was mentioned in the verse, you have to be attached to something. Right? Because we're still envious of Krishna, that's why. It may be less, it may be getting less, but there's still envy of Krishna's there. You still want to be the enjoyer. You still want to be the proprietor. You still want to be the friend. You like to be praised. Isn't it?
Yeah.
We like people when they say, oh, well done, Prabhu. Well done. Oh, that was a brilliant Prabhu. Well, no, Prabhu, I'm just the most fallen of the fallen. I'm hopeless, I'm wretched, I have no qualifications whatsoever, but please carry on praising me. Tell everyone about my glories. Put it on social media. You look at the picture. Where am I in the picture? There I am. Hey, why didn't they put my picture in the kirtan? I was on the kirtan. I was the best kirtan leader, in fact. They never even put my picture in the kirtan picture. I'm going to complain about this. I'm never going to go with him ever again on kirtan. There's a little bit of envy still there, Pride. Pride and envy are basically two sides of the same coin. Positive, negative, but they're both, selfish. So, there's a bit of pride there. They're still proud. What do you think, Mr. Bhakta? Huh?
Yes.
We dress in such a way we hope people will see us. We speak in such a way we hope people will be impressed. We dance, cook, everything sometimes, all with thinking, I want to be recognized. I want to, get name, fame, prestige, honor, whatever, puja. It's a condition of every living entity in this universe to different degrees. And we're still hanging on. Why? Because we want to imitate God. We still think we're the center. We're still seeing ourselves in the center, that's why. We're trying to change it. We theoretically know that's wrong, but in reality, we're still not quite convinced. Our conviction is not absolute. What to do? We have to expose ourselves to the pure if we want to change. So the choice is yours. If you want to hang on to that, then we associate with it in our mind. Pure devotees also say, I have no attraction to Krishna, I'm attracted. Read the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and just meditate on his mood, I know. Read Gopinath. Gopinath. That song. How he looks at himself. Full of envy, full of anger, greed. Mad, I'm mad. I have no love for, their mood is like that. We think, I'm such a great devotee sometimes. I'm such a great devotee. Nobody appreciates me. They're all fools. All the other devotees are so neophyte. They don't appreciate me. I'm actually the most advanced. That's an extreme example, but sometimes it touches us. That type of mentality. Or to speak of material attachments, which are just reflections of our seeing ourselves in the center. We have to reject that if you want to change. Spit at the thought, as Jumanacharya said. Spit at the thought. Yes. KK, CC. Yeah.
I have a question. There's a Vedic injunction that if your household life is unfavorable for advancing Krishna consciousness, then you can give up your...
Give up your household. That's not the subject to talk about today. There's a marriage taking place in a few minutes.
Inappropriate. It will not be controversial. But because the gopis, they're, like this in this verse, they're saying that their attraction for Krishna is being prevented because of their husbands, jealousy and whatnot. So why is it that there is a Vedic injunction that if the household is seemingly unfavorable for advancing Krishna consciousness, that we should give up our family life? Whereas the gopis, they're setting an example, and they are staying in their household.
They're forced to be staying. The husbands are holding them back, right? As far as I remember from reading in the Krishna book and the Bhagavatam, they were forcibly held back by their husbands. But that it was also a slight internal reason for that, which you're mentioning, is what you mean. They still have a mild affection or identity with being father, mother in that case, or a husband, a wife rather. Some mild holdback is there. It's like the demigods, you see, they often... Whoa, what was that? A mouse? Or what was that just ran past you? Oh, a leaf. I thought it was a mouse running across the floor for a minute. You caught the mouse. So the demigods also, they sometimes, look at Indra. I mean, sometimes he's completely surrendered, then as soon as that's over, he's back to his wayward ways again. So in the sense that, that verse is there, that, as you say, the injunction is there, that if unfavorable. But that's a very fine line when we say unfavorable. In the case of a pure devotee of the Lord, that's another thing. In the case of mixed devotees, or in case of neophyte devotees, what to speak of others, It's very risky and dangerous. There are other injunctions which say differently too. It's very dangerous to conclude or to think that alone we can conclude that this is unfavorable for my spiritual life. That's why it's important in society that there are, say guides, association, guidance from those who are advanced in spiritual life as to what is favorable and what is unfavorable, because we're judging it. Usually people conclude, because I'm suffering in family life, it's not good for my spiritual life, therefore I should give it up. Usually. Of course, there is a course, and if you've taken the course, you graduate. But most people have not taken the course. They're very, let's describe it back to Siddhanta Maharaj, broken cop philosophy. Because it was miserable, therefore I'll give it up. That's not the real reason. And that's, maybe you're not ready for that. Because you're still attached, still proud, still want to be the enjoyer. This refers to those who really are on a level. I mean, there's another side to it, there's the Vedic system. At the age of 50, at least the educated class in society give up their family life. It's an injunction. Not that they run away from the wife, they stay together, but they give up the family identification and practice spirituality. That is according to Shastra. So there are many different angles. It's not always a black and white thing here. It's always best to consult with, seniors, spiritually advanced living devotees, etc., before concluding that I'm making the right decision here. It's not good to act out of context. We take a verse from the Shastra and justify our behavior. You can find a verse to justify just about anything, but that's dangerous. You have to consult with Guru, Shastra and Sadhu in making such important decisions like that in life. And Prabhupada, in many times, devotees, married devotees, I want to leave my wife. And Prabhupada would talk with the wife and say, I'm sorry, you can't. Your wife is not ready. Your wife is not agreeable. You have to perform your duty. You can read it if you read Prabhupada's letters. You can read letters like that. Because he knew that the devotee wasn't really ready, he would give up that wife, and after a short while they'd go for another one. And then another one, and another one. Which here would, what can we do? But that wasn't to be encouraged, that's all. We knew it would happen, but it wasn't to be encouraged. Be responsible. Be responsible. It's your duty. Someone is under your shelter, it's your duty to help them to become favorable or Krishna conscious. If they absolutely don't want to, and they reject and refuse, as is clearly obvious, then the situation may be a little different. They insist on, doing things you don't want to do, and drink liquor, smoke cigarettes, eat meat, or they're a debaucher or whatever it is, there's something else. But otherwise, one should be careful, not make whimsical decisions. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We wish you all the very best. What was your good name? Jennifer? Janice?